I'm Michelle Atlas, and I'm your host for Money Mastery for the Mystical Woman Entrepreneur, the interview series that we will be airing next Tuesday through Saturday, April 1st through April 5th. If you're seeing this video, you may have registered for that series, or perhaps you'd like to. You'll find the link below this video. I wanted to come in and just share a little bit of foundation for that series before we embark on that journey. So, when we talk about mystical women entrepreneurs, what I'm referring to when I use the word mystical is not a woman who is sitting on a mountaintop somewhere or in some remote location, spending all of her time meditating in seclusion, deeply immersed in spiritual practices to the exclusion of the other domains of life. What I'm referring to is the kind of deep, sensitive, intuitive, creative woman that I know I am, and I think that all of the women in my community and who are drawn into my community are, who we are women who have probably always experienced a multidimensional experience of our lives. So when I talk about mystical, I'm referring to a very innate and organic level of sensitivity and intuitiveness that has, made access to other realms, other dimensions of experience, even during mundane day-to-day life, or when you're doing spiritual practices or anytime available to you. Right. So it's the magic that becomes available when we are living a multidimensional experience. And because we have access to these deeper experiences of our existence, we tend to have particular struggles when it comes to material life, money being at the top of that list. Because we have that, because we're deep and we're sensitive, and we know that life has multidimensional meanings and we're very evolutionary. And so our own experience of our own existence is always changing and evolving because of all of those gifts, because of all of those blessings that we carry. We tend to grapple more and have more doubts. We carry an extra burden of self-doubt around, whether certain material components to our existence matter, such again as money. Is money good? Is money evil? Do we need it? Should we pay it to, should we be focused on it? Should we not be focused on it? Should we be asking to make a generous income? Should we be asking to be paid well? Or, is that selfish or greedy? Should we be giving away more? All of these kind of questions and many, many more tend to surface more frequently in deep, sensitive, mystical, intuitive, creative women. So one of the reasons, in my perspective, is that one of the other reasons, I just shared one reason why that happens, because we've got this access to the depths. But another reason that I believe that that happens that relates to our conditioning is that many of us who have this access to, deeper experiences of living and being also felt different most of our lives. So, as children, as teenagers, as young adults, in our families, in our peer communities, we felt different in some way. We might have felt like an outsider. We might have had difficulty feeling like we belonged. We might have felt like we were watching other people live their interests in mainstream activities, mainstream entertainment, this sort of thing with our nose pressed up against, a screen door or a glass window, just observing rather than wanting to participate in a lot of what seemed to light other people up. So, and on many occasions, our families also just simply they were not sort of living in that same frequency. And so they didn't really understand our sensitivity, our depth, our creativity, our intuitive impulses. This is really common. If you had a family that was more like you and more attuned and more supportive and nurturing of these gifts, then that was wonderful and a great blessing. And some people certainly do have that experience or have it to some degree on the continuum. But many of us didn't have that. And so there was no mirroring, there was no affirming, there was no validating. So what we did with that was we began to doubt those experiences. We doubted our intuition. We doubted the magical, experiences that we had access to. We doubted our creative impulses. Um, we doubted the fact that we didn't seem to fit in and we didn't know why. And we internalized that very often to think there was something wrong with us, something flawed or deficient. So it begins very, very young, this sort of paradigm, internalized paradigm of not enoughness. And we experience that again as being about ourselves. When we're children, it's very difficult to be objective. We don't have the filters neurologically, and we don't have the maturity emotionally to separate out what's about someone else and what's about us. And so and we're dependent upon all of these adults that don't understand us. So we tend to internalize to cope, to survive, and we start to create all sorts of meanings and beliefs about us not being enough or us being weird or, different or deficient, as I said. You fast forward into adult life, and when a woman like me, like you, embarks on the entrepreneurial adventure, as I call it, the uneven terrain of the entrepreneurial path, and we bump up against our money. At that point, we are likely to bump up against our money stories like hard, right? Whatever they are, they may not have surfaced fully in our life, but you get on the entrepreneurial path, and they're going to surface like gangbusters. And so you're going to find yourself defaulting to whatever kinds of meanings you've made, consciously or unconsciously. And when you find yourself really gifted and sharing beautiful medicine with your clients, with the world, helping people achieve amazing results, and yet not being able to make ends meet, not seeing your own bank account or quality of life grow, there's a misalignment. Something is operating that was never yours, but that you took on, and you're making decisions through those filters, through which you can so often not even see that they're filters because they're so transparent. They're like a piece of saran wrap. We don't even know they're there. And so what happens is when we enter the entrepreneurial current, we are called to a pretty profound level of visibility and prolificness. Our money flow and our success depends on being seen and being heard for most of us. And and we are not used to being supported in our uniqueness, in our bespoke medicine, in our one-of-a-kind giftedness. And so we bump up against our self-doubt very often pretty intensely when we start to bump up against the money issues. And that's when all of these old limiting beliefs, like money's not really good, money's, selfish, money, whatever it is, there's a whole litany. I could give you a list of 100 versions of the story. We bump up against that when it comes time to become more visible and more prolific, because what we're really bumping up against is our own fear, the places we were never nurtured, nourished, and supported. We're scared and we don't know how scared we are. So we start to activate all the stories or make up new ones, right? And so it keeps us hiding. We default, we rationalize not wanting to be visible because what we're really afraid of is being visible in our deepest truth for the first time, perhaps ever, and taking that risk on what will come back. What will the return be? Will we really be heard this time? Will we magnetize people that deeply get us, that are similar, that really need our medicine? Or will we be met with that profound experience of differentness and aloneness, even criticism, all of that, right? So all of this comes up when we cross that threshold into the entrepreneurial realm, and we turn that self-doubt and fear unconsciously, usually, into crazy money stories that limit us, right? Keep us from making the money that is available to us and that everyone deserves and that everyone can access. Okay. So I'm here to tell you that the good news, so I'm sharing all of that for awareness and to see if that resonates for you and really I want to flip on some light switches right away before the interview series even starts to kind of get the wheels turning, get the juices flowing. The good news about all of this is that we are living in this extremely, tumultuous disturbing time right now. And the incredible thing about this extremely wild and threshing, dying, birthing, crazy time that we're living in is that the distinctions between good and evil, distinctions between virtue and you know living a virtuous life and living a manipulative, insidiously, harmful life for others are very, very clear. These distinctions are becoming really glaring. It's not subtle anymore. And what that means is that there is a very clear, open field for deeper, more intuitively guided women with creative, really unique, one of a kind solutions, unprecedented solutions, women who are pioneering their deepest, most beautiful work. There is a clearer field for us to speak our medicine, to share our medicine, to create, to offer. And many people are seeking deeper solutions, deeper medicine. They're open, they're hurting, they're suffering. They don't know what to do with these times. They don't know what to do with what they're observing and their own experience. And so your authenticity, this is a beautiful moment for women like us, mystical women entrepreneurs, because there is a deeper level of receptivity and openness to us now. So it's actually, even during this tumultuous, crazy time, it is actually safer. Your authenticity is more likely to be rewarded. Your risk taking to pioneer something that is what you really know you're here to bring, what you really want to say, what you really want to create and offer, is much more likely to be greatly rewarded now, maybe than ever before. So it's a special time that we're living in right now, right? It's a time that's going to really be where people are going to look to people like you and people like me for medicine, how to walk through these times, right? So this is a time to really dig deep into what it is that you really want to say. It's also because of that self-doubt that I mentioned before. The piece I didn't mention that I meant to is that it makes us particularly vulnerable to the expert voices in the marketplace that appear to have all of the answers and all of the sort of how-to advice when it comes to growing your business. There's nothing wrong with, there are a lot of brilliant people that have achieved amazing things, giving programs and coaching and advice. And for deeper, more mystical, intuitive, creative women, some of that advice probably won't fit. It's a bit of a square peg in a round hole, and you'll hear us talking about that in the interview series quite a few times. You'll also hear this theme I'm talking about right now that has to do with really just being yourself. So you have to be really careful when you hit that boundary where you start to feel doubtful, you start to question your ability to make good money for your gifts. You're going to be more prone to defaulting to programs and messaging that probably won't suit you. So you have to be careful, because the real call, the deeper call, is to a deeper level of emerging as who you really are. Right? There's going to be a lot of, I'll be offering all kinds of support on this discovery process moving forward, but I'm just kind of planting these thoughts and ideas so you can begin contemplating, maybe catalyzing some insight right now. Okay. So, the most important piece of everything that I'm sharing here is that when you do what I'm suggesting, money flow will come with much greater ease. That's the beauty, is that when we are our most authentic, most bespoke, most pioneering version of who we are, money comes very easily because we are seen and heard for the unique solution, the unique medicine that we are. That's the other piece that I could speak volumes on, is that you are the offer, we are the offer. We have to first really we need to reclaim the parts that got lost. We need to be rooted in our own wholeness so that whatever we create, whatever medicine we do offer, is coming from that deeper place. And when it is, you become the embodiment of your offer. You become the offer. People are purchasing or drawn to what you're sharing, what your particular modality, your particular genius, because they are drawn to the frequency that you're embodying, which is your own truth. The offer comes, the actual modality, the actual course, the actual whatever it is you're doing is secondary to what you're embodying, to who you're being. So all of these pieces require some really deep, beautiful journeying, but these are all important pieces. And I'm sharing all of this now because when we want to empower our relationship to money, what many logically do is focus on money. And I'm here to tell you that our money problems are usually, I'm going to say 99.999% of the time, not about money. Our money issues have everything to do with our capacity to receive, and first and foremost, receive the whole of ourselves, and then receive the results of living in that wholeness. Okay, so there's a lot to this. As you can hear, there are many facets to this diamond, and just sort of sharing some of what I think is key to kind of begin getting those wheels turning before the interview series next week. Just looking at taking a glance here at my notes so that I don't forget anything I wanted to share with you today. So one of the I'll end our time together today here now, and I'll share more tomorrow. But one of the simplest ways to begin activating the sort of principles in this transmission that I've just shared with you is, and I know I'm speaking probably to preaching to the choir here in some ways, in some cases, but really some of the simplest practices take us deep into our body and activate our own inner wisdom and intuition quite easily. So just sitting with your hands on your own body somewhere, cheeks of your face, heart, solar plexus, those are three power spots. Let the warmth of your own, the gentle pressure of your own touch generate some warmth. When your system recognizes this sense of warmth and comfort, it will trigger the brain chemical oxytocin, and it begins to create a really beautiful, safe environment within your own body. So you're creating safety within where you can then safely access your own compass. And then I would give you a journaling prompt. And that's a very simple prompt, which is once you're connected and you're feeling settled in your own system, this will settle your nervous system, which is key. The journaling prompt is simply, what would I do, say, write through my business if I knew I could not fail? What would I really want to do, say? Suspend logic, suspend the critic. This is just for you. If you're in the Facebook group, my Facebook group, Portals to Money Flow, and you want to share what came through, I'd love to hear from you. I'd also very much love to hear how the messaging in this video that I'm sharing has landed for you. If you have questions, please post them. If you're watching this on YouTube, the same, let me know how this lands for you. Please post your questions, your comments, share what came through during your journaling if you wish. And I would love to respond. I will look forward to responding to each and every one of you. So we'll see you tomorrow for more, and can't wait to continue journeying with you. Much love and many blessings. Bye for now.